Hi. Okay, so it's been a while since I did a video and I did kind of left you hanging with the air dry clay pumpkins. We did this a long time ago and I wanted to get to painting them right away. Um, but life happens and we had some family emergencies come up that have sidetracked us for a couple of months. But anyhow, we're back. And so now I'll get caught up, even though it's right before Halloween and you don't really have time to do any more Halloween pumpkins. The other pumpkin that I did is great for Thanksgiving. So it doesn't have to be a Halloween pumpkin. You can still do them for the fall season, right? So I'm going to start by painting my little jack-o'-lantern guy here. It's going to be pretty basic. And then I might try something just to kind of see. And then I'm going to try a new technique that I've never tried before with this fall, basic fall one. And we'll just see how it goes. All right. Okay. So we got our little, obviously our little Halloween guy here. And what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to do a basic orange for the body and green for the stem. So nothing really fancy. What I'm going to try to do probably after it dries is I might come over it with a little bit of this sparkly yellow nail polish to give it a little something something. We'll see how that looks. If I don't like it, we'll paint over it again, but I'm gonna give it a try. So I'm gonna use my palette. Now you can clean your palette every single time you work, and that's a great way to do it. That's the way I've always done it in the past, but you can also leave it like this, and when it's dried, that's fine. I'm gonna just go ahead and put the paint over it, and that's totally fine. Okay, if you don't have one of the palettes from the kits, you can use just a paper plate, and that's totally fine. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and use my palette, and I'm going to mix a yellow and red together because yellow and red make orange. And so I'm going to put some yellow and red out, and then I'm going to mix it in the center. I always use the center well for mixing colors. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm gonna grab some red. Okay. And it's always good to have napkins or a rag or paper towels. I like paper towels handy. And since I don't really want to mix my colors in the little pots, I'm gonna mix them on the palette. So I'm gonna wash my brush first before I get out the yellow. Grab some yellow, put that in one of the wells like this. Okay, and then I'm gonna mix the two colors in the middle. And so I'll grab some red, grab some yellow, and I'm gonna mix it until I get the shade of orange that I like. I'm not probably gonna get super precise. I don't mind if there's variations, because I kind of like things to be a little varied. But anyhow, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start by mixing the orange paint and then putting on the layer of paint. Now, when you're doing just a solid color like this and you want it to kind of cover, what I usually do is just kind of do an overall basic coat, kind of brushing in one direction. And even though it doesn't cover great that way, once you come around and do the second coat, you can go the other direction with your brush and it'll give you more of a solid coverage. Now, I don't know if you can see this really well, but my color changes a little bit because I'm not getting really precise about the shades of oranges. I don't mind having, like, this is a little more red on this side, this is more orange on this side. I don't mind having the variations because I'm going to go over it again with a second coat, and that will kind of even things out. And I also don't mind if there's, for me, I don't mind if there's you know, some variation overall, because I think it gives it a little bit more interest anyhow. And then like I said, I'm probably going to do something with this over it anyhow, and that'll kind of help blend it all. So. All right, so I I would actually normally probably use a hair dryer to speed up the drying on that first coat, and that just will make it a little bit nicer and faster. But I think I'm going to try to see if I can do it without drying it right now extra. And the other thing I'm going to do is for the second coat is I'm going to add a little water to my paint to thin it out. Um, because I want that second coat to be thinner and not quite as thick. And I'm going to put my brush strokes the opposite way. So before I was kind of going down with my brush strokes for the most part, and now I'm going to go just gently with a lighter coat of paint, go the opposite direction, and that'll give it a little bit better coverage. And the paint is a little thinner for this part. Okay. All right, so now I've got this nicely covered and orangish, and I'm going to just go ahead and paint the stem a basic green, or what I might do actually is cover the stem with a basic green and then go then make a lighter green possibly by adding yellow to the green, and then brush it really gently over the stem so that it highlights all the texture and everything. So I'll show you how I do that. All right, so now this little guy, this is still kind of drying down here. And like I said, normally I would just take a hair dryer and dry it, and then I would go over it with what I'm going to. And I'm going to come over it with a lighter green to highlight the texture that I've put in the, when I made the clay stem and I twisted it, it gave it all this really cool texture and movement. And I'm going to highlight that with a lighter green once this first coat of green dries, okay? So, and when this dries, I think I'm going to try to play with some sparkly nail polish, just kind of yellow over it, see how it looks. So for, like I said, normally I would kind of use I would use a blow dryer to finish that off and then start on the second coats. But since I have this other really cool pumpkin that I want to work on, I'm just going to set this aside for now, and I'm going to let it dry while I'm working on the other one. All right. So for this one, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. For the body, I'm going to mix up kind of a dark blue. So I'm going to take my regular blue, put a good amount in this well, and then I'm going to add a little bit of red. Now red and blue make purple, but I'm just going to add a little bit, which will darken it and kind of make it more of a muted blue. All right, so I'm going to take some of my red, I'm going to add it to this blue. And I mean, a dark purple would be pretty cool too. But I'm not going to put enough red in there to make it purple. I'm just making it more of a dark blue as opposed to a bright blue. Okay, so I'm going to give that a try. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other pumpkin, where that first coat, where the brush strokes kind of go down. I go one way, and then when I come over the second coat, I'm going to go the other way. And the paint is a little thick, and I want it to be a little more spreadable. So I'm going to add a teeny bit of water. And that's just you're going to have to be your own personal gauge as far as if you add water or not. I always add water for that second coat. I don't always add water for the first coat. So you're going to have to just play with it and see what you like. And like I said, you can tell I'm not really worrying too much about getting on this first coat, I don't worry too much about trying to get a really solid coverage, because I know I'm going to come over it again and then I'll get the solid coverage I want that second time around. And as you're going along, as your paint starts to kind of thicken because of the air getting to it, just you can add a little more water and that'll make it spreadable again, okay? Okay, so we've got our base coats on everything. This one is drying, I just finished, and this one should be pretty dry for the most part. This little guy, all I'm going to do is all I did is actually add some yellow to the green that I used on the base coat, which is just the basic green in the basic set. Sometimes that green needs to be mixed up a little bit, but it works really well still. So once you paint it the basic green, then I add a little bit of yellow to it and it makes it a more lime green. It'll just change it slightly. So now I can come over it with a little bit of a different color green. And let me show you on a different angle so you can see better. So now I'm going to take my more lime green and I'm just going to brush it. So my stem, when I made it with the clay, like I showed you, I took a piece of clay and I twisted it. So the lines, you can see the lines going like this, right? You can kind of see the twist pattern. I really want to highlight that twist pattern. So I'm going to just lightly brush this lighter green over it in the opposite direction of the twists. Because I don't want to cover, I don't want to give it like a lot of coverage, because then it'll just be painting it one solid color. So I'm just going to highlight the twists by brushing very lightly this lighter green, again, very lightly. Up in the opposite direction of the twists, and then that will give it a little bit more accent. It'll highlight the texture that I've got going on there, so it's not just one solid color. Because what happens is the dark color stays in the grooves, and we want it to stay in the grooves. And then the lighter color just kind of brushes on the raised clay. And so what that's doing is that's highlighting the texture. Okay, so that's kind of fun. And then once this dries, I'll do the same thing with this stem right here. It's just a little something. It's not very, very, it's not one solid color. It's not a very drastic change. It's just kind of making it cool, I think, making it kind of cool, giving it a little bit of highlight. Very cool. So we're going to let that one dry a little bit more and set it aside. And now I'm going to play around with my little jack-o'-lantern and see how it looks with the yellow sparkly fingernail polish. Hopefully it looks cool. All right. So I really like these mats for painting, or put down some paper or something. So if you're a little bit messy like I am, you're not getting it everywhere. All right, so this fingernail polish, it's not really, it's not very opaque. It's kind of see-through. it's just gonna see, I think it's just gonna add a little shine without covering up all the orange. So I'm gonna try it in the corners. See how this looks. Yeah, kind of cool. So I'm just brushing it very lightly over the surface because, again, I'm not trying to like cover all the orange. I want it to kind of highlight, again, the bumps and the texture that I have in the clay, because I like that myself. So I'm just gonna give it a little once over to give it a little bit of shine, bling factor. And I'm sure there are lots of, you know, I'm sure there's glitter glue and all kinds of paint and stuff, glitter paints and things that you could use on top of this too that would do the same thing. This is just what I happen to have. So I thought, you know what, let's give it a try. I think that might look really pretty on the orange. And it's not like I really use yellow glitter fingernail polish in much anyhow. I'm not even sure why I have it, honestly. So, you know, this is a good use for it. Just after you do the solid coat of like orange or whatever color you want, to highlight those crevices, I don't know if you can really see, but there's like texture from the clay, you know, when we did it, when we put together the pinch pots and everything. And I could take not just fingernail polish, I could take another color, whether it's just a slightly different orange than what I put down or a totally contrasting color or even black, and lightly go over the surface of the pumpkin and not get it in the crevices so that it highlights the raised parts. And then that will really highlight, you know, that'll really highlight your texture and everything. Ah, I like it. Very cool. Look at that. Neat. It actually is going to look great. I just realized I wasn't going to do this, but well, am I? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and put it over the stem too, because yellow is a great highlight. This is a yellow gold, it looks like. It really looks gold when I put it down on the pumpkin. But this yellow is a great highlight for orange and green. Very cool. Very, very cool. So what I'm going to do is let that dry, of course. And I think I'm still going to go ahead and coat it. So I know if you've ever done a class, air dry clay class from the videos, I talk about some sprays and different things that I use. There's a DecoArt triple thick a brush on. I usually use I think Krylon and another brand have a spray triple thick, and I like this because it's a thick glaze, and it gives it the glossy finish and it protects the paint and everything. Now it's not made to make things waterproof or anything, so I don't think it's going to help with anything outside. Now this one is already very shiny because I just added the shiny, you know, fingernail polish. So I don't know that it necessarily needs the triple thick, but I still think it'll really highlight the whole thing. And I am totally digging this. So I think that turned out great. All right, so for this dark blue one, I'm gonna try a doily to help give it like a pattern, but I'm not looking to have it be like a really, really definite pattern. I mean, I could, you know, if you were going to spray paint this whole thing, you could come back, and spray painting would be a great way to, with another color, was to get that really definite pattern over the surface. But I think what I'm gonna do is try to just give it a hint of pattern, and we'll see if that works. I'm not 100% sure if it'll work, but I can try. And like I say, worst case scenario, I will just paint over it and do something else. So I think I'm gonna do, well, I was gonna try it with the big brush. Let me try it with a small brush first, because this is a fairly small pattern. So we'll just see. So what I'm gonna do is load up my brush with some white. And then I'm gonna actually just like dot, 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 dot around. I'm not gonna smear it like a painting motion, because I want it to be kind of a faint pattern. Let's see if you can see that. Let's see if that works. Oh, that works. So what I'm trying to do is just give it like a hint of pattern here and there. And what's going to happen is this white is going to, well, I think it's going to dry like a little bit more muted. And I just kind of want to give it a little pattern here and there without covering the whole thing with pattern. At least that's what I'm thinking that will work. I don't know for sure, but you know, that's okay. And it's okay to have the paint heavier and not have it be even, at least for what I'm trying to do. All I'm trying to do is kind of give it that hint, and I'm not really looking for it to be super, super definite pattern. So I kind of am looking for it to be, you know, again, some areas to be heavier white, some to be lighter white. I like that effect. I'm gonna also try it with the big brush. See how that works. See what works better. It's got more of a surface area, so it might be easier. Yeah, okay. The big brush is much easier. That's what I was gonna go with first, and then I was like, oh, maybe not. So again, I'm just dabbing at it. I'm not brushing like this. I'm just dabbing, because like I said, I want it to be kind of that uneven, cool look. Get some more white. Now I could also put different colors on there. Okay, so that's it. That's all I got. I would love to see what you all came up with. I saw Joanne's already. Awesome. I coated them both with the triple thick. It's, like I said, I use a spray one. I use a Krylon. And I don't know that, again, it really did much for this guy because he was already pretty sparkly and cool. But he really did, I think, turn out pretty good. I'm really digging that particular, that fingernail polish over the orange. And I don't know that you can see it that well here, but it really does also highlight all the texture and uneven surface unevenness, which I really like. Again, I'm not looking for it to be like perfectly round and looking like I purchased it. I want it to look like I made it, right? So I like that, and I like that highlighted. So I think he turned out really cute. So I'm really happy with that finish. This guy, I think it turned out okay. I mean, I hadn't really thought it through. So I just thought, oh, I want to try this different technique. And if I was going to do it again, I would probably use more fall colors and patterns because this one, I like it. It's just that it's a pumpkin, or was supposed to be a pumpkin. And I basically did kind of a winter theme on it. So I was just playing around. So, you know, it's got the blue and the white. I thought if I made the blue dark enough, which maybe if I made it more dark blue, I don't know that it would have made any difference, but I do kind of like the effect of the cool little patterns. But the only thing on it is I think it might look a little snowflake-ish, winterish, which is kind of weird to have on a pumpkin. So that's the only thing that I'm not 100% sold on with this, but I do like the technique and I like the idea, and I could see doing like a really cool, basically like some Christmas tree, 3-dimensional Christmas trees with this kind of pattern on it. I think that would look really cool actually. So like I said, and then I think I told you I did coat this with the triple thick also, and I think, I don't know, I like the glossy look on it. You don't necessarily need it, but I like it. So I kind of add that, and I did that too. And I think it really added to this one. Like I said, I don't know that this one needed it at all. So they had the shiny fingernail polish all over it. But anyhow, it's fun to experiment, fun to play. I hope that you all got a chance to try, or if you haven't yet, maybe you still will. And I would love it if you post pictures, just because that's my favorite part about doing any of these projects, right, is to see what you all come up with, because you come up with really cool stuff. And I loved Joanne's pictures when she posted those. I think she's the only one maybe that's posted the pumpkins yet, but I would love to. I saw Benjamin's comments and about Emma's, and I would love to see what those turned out like, because Emma's so creative and Amy's so creative, and Benjamin, you're too. Anyhow, you guys are a creative, fun family. It'd be fun to see what you did, even the creepy one. So anyhow, love it. Thank you. I hope to see what you did. I hope if you come up with your own kind of projects, you post them so that I can see. Also, if you have any wish lists, maybe as far as projects you'd like to see, you could post it and I'll do my best. I'm still playing catch up, but that's okay. We'll get there. And I hope you just keep being creative. Thanks.